Hey everyone, welcome back to Glow with TJ. Today I'm going to start a four-part series on the importance of keeping promises to yourself, and how that builds into this relationship with yourself. So, what is a promise that you keep to yourself? Well, so often it's those things that we tell ourselves that we're going to do. We have great intentions, but we don't share it with someone else. It's one of those things we tell us ourselves internally. I'm going to work out 4 days this week. I'm going to start eating fruits and vegetables with every meal. Um, I'm going to go to my doctor's appointments. I'm going to schedule my doctor's appointments for this year. If we don't tell someone, then no one knows that we're wanting to be held accountable. And that might be the reason that we don't share them with other people, right? So these are things that we tell ourselves we're going to do, and we don't always have a plan for them. We might just say, I promise myself I'm gonna do better tomorrow. Or I promise next week I'm gonna get started on my workouts again. We may not have a plan for them, and that is typically where we run into issues, right? Because if we don't have a plan, then they're just sort of this they're a concept, but they're not a real true solid plan. But anyway, they are the things that we tell ourselves we're going to do, and we may really, really want to do them and believe that they will improve our situation. But because we didn't have a full plan and we just talked about them to ourselves, just I'm going to do that, then it's one of those things that we may not follow through with. But so often these promises that we tell ourselves that we say that we're going to do are things that are internal. And so um, we think there's no, I don't want to say victim, but there's no one who's impacted. And yet we're the ones that are impacted. And then oftentimes that impact can ripple out. So while we think that we're only hurting ourselves, it's possible that it could ripple outward. And um, so this is a place that I have found myself more than once, because I think as humans, it happens to us all the time. We get busy, we have a plan, then we get into a rut and things shift and we forget to kind of do the whole process again of finding out what works for us, what fits, all the things. And I find that this is really kind of a passion place for me. And I didn't recognize that until very recently, that this is kind of a space I want to be in. But I just find that keeping promises to ourselves, it's so, so important. And I'll talk in the next video about that. But I just want to say that I think that when we keep promises to others, I think that's a sacred thing. But when we keep a promise to ourselves, it can be magical because we can feel more confident, we change our lives, we grow, we expand, we set goals for ourselves that we never even imagined possible. So it's super important. It's super important to come back and think about those things that the promises we make to ourselves. So, so what does maybe a promise look like that you haven't kept? I mean, what are the things that they can be? Um, a big one that I feel happens to a lot of us. Maybe we don't make a New Year's resolution, but we promise ourselves that this is the year we'll get healthier. It is now July, and I'd like to ask you how that's going, if that was a thing for you. I'll admit, I started off really strong this year, been really good, and it's tapered off a little bit. So I'm going to have to get back on that a bit for myself because I feel so much better when I work out and move my body. Um, they can be things like telling yourself that you're not going to scroll, no doom scrolling at bedtime. And then you look at the clock and you're just going to take a minute. You're just going to look for a minute. And then you realize that it's midnight now and you've been scrolling for 2 hours. It's telling yourself that you're going to get up and get some breakfast before you dash out of the house. But you stayed up too late, maybe doom scrolling, right? And you hit snooze too many times. And so now you are dashing out the door with coffee in hand, no plan for the day, and just winging it. Maybe maybe it's that you're going to get a walk in every day. Maybe that was your thing, is you want to get more walks in. And you told yourself, I will get more walks in. I promise to walk more this year. And maybe you didn't realize how busy the year was going to be. And so it hasn't really materialized the way you thought it would. So I would like to invite you to just take a look at some of those, maybe jot down or just take note of them. Awareness is one of the first things that we need to do when we want to change, is become aware of where we are and the patterns we currently have. But maybe become aware of what promises you've made to yourself recently that you are not keeping or that you have not kept. And look at it with compassion, because we are human and none of us were meant to be perfect. So maybe take a look at them. Just note a couple, 2 or 3, no biggie. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.